Batgirls, issue 13, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad writing with Jonathan Case on the art. So different art in this, so I'll talk about that in a bit. But Matt caught up with Batgirls for this week.
Yeah. Well, I went back and I read the annual. I went and picked that up. And then I read this one. Because I'm curious with this Freaky Friday deal.
Okay, so you didn't go back and read the last arc.
No. So
you probably
just
should,
what I remember you talking about in the annual, the mutant that coin. And having the sloppy. So
what's interesting is that it's not just a two-parter, it's just listed as one, because the arc is still going on. It's just that the body swap part is wrapped up by the end of the issue, but the actual story that it kicks off is
if
still
I
going.
hadn't been listening to you, I would have had to gone back, right? Like if I just heard about this, like, oh, body swap with the Batgirls. But like, remember hearing you talk about the guy that Steph's been talking to, and like dealing with the serial killer there and all this other stuff. I was familiar enough where I wasn't lost, so that helped. But yeah, it probably helped to go back past the annual a little bit, if you were to catch up.
I mean, I'd recommend the last arc or two. Basically issue 7 or whatever it was onwards. So yeah, well, I ended last issue with Steph and Cass in each other's bodies, and each of them had been taken by their respective parents. So we had Steph and Cass's body with Lady Shiva, and Lady Shiva does clock that it's not quite her daughter fairly early on, and pulls out a knife and tries to fight. Meanwhile, Cass is in Steph's body, which is tied up and in the back of a car as Cluemaster's taking her somewhere, which ends up in like their old house or something like that. We find out later on. So it's definitely a bit more Steph and Cassie's body focused, because she's talking and not tied up in the back seat of a car. There's a little bit of Babs and Bruce investigating stuff, and ultimately going to Zatanna for some help with this magical coin that did the body swap. Yeah. Which there's a silly little excuse for why she's in her old outfit. Just it's laundry day apparently.
I feel it's because the artist wanted to draw classic Zatanna, so they felt they threw that in there a little bit. So that's fine. I like the top hat and fishnets every once in a while for Z.
That does feel like the thing. Honestly, I wasn't super into the art here. It is super, like, it is very cartoony, but it feels very different to what the book has been up until this point. The very
expressiveness, cartoony. Yeah, because going from the annual to this, back to back, you feel that change big time, where it's similar, but it's not nearly as crisp.
And the art in the annual is pretty much what it's been for the last, 5 or 6 issues, I think. So, and that, well, a little different from that first arc, which I do wish that first art is stuck around.
Yeah. That's Jorge Corona?
Right? Yeah. So, well, I wish Corona had stuck around. I think it did a decent job
setting a style.
Yeah, just sort of sticking to some sort of overall style, but this feels far too clean. Like, there's a lot of flat colors in this, where the one thing it didn't have before was flat colors. It was very, there was a sort of a nice, pleasant, sketchy quality to it. There was like sort of
kind of a richness to the art.
Yeah.
Texture.
So yeah, texture's a good word. And it's just kind of gone here, which is a shame. Yeah. So the whole fight with Steph and Lady Shiva though is quite fun, because Steph's very different to Cass as a fighter, in that she's very unpredictable because she's not like trained like so Cass is very like coordinated and like very like methodical in how she fights. Yeah. Steph is more like, I'll just
a brawler.
I'll just dive this way randomly because you didn't see that coming, kind of thing. And ultimately has a heart-to-heart with Lady Shiva, saying that her daughter, that Cass is perfect. You just don't see it. And something that Batgirl, being Barbara, and Batman have found out, because they've tracked down the person behind this, which we'll get into in a second. They find out that the wish was only for them to spend a day in each other's shoes, so they're just going to revert back after 24 hours. And sure enough, that happens. And it's a really fun play on things, actually, because it's like, okay, so Cass is now back in her own body, but she knows that Steph's in trouble and has been kidnapped by her father. So that's obviously where the plot's going next issue, which is cool. So that was kind of nice. But you also get a little bit of time with Cass, with Lady Shiva, where Lady Shiva's like, ignore the mess.
Yeah.
Like, your friend's very nice, but ignore the mess.
Yeah. Also, her like looking down, Cass looking down into the dress she's wearing too. I thought that was very funny. So
that was probably the first thing that tipped Shiva off, was that she was willing to put on the dress.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, so there's an obscure character here that's revealed to be the old broad who gave them the coin in the first place. Turns out to be, where's the name? Madame Zodiac. Do you know this character?
Yeah, so I pulled her up. She's a old school like 60s, 70s magic person.
Okay.
That has like fortune telling, divination kind of powers. So kind of runs with the Madame Xanadu crowd, like that side of DC. Kind of an in between. Just like, hey, I was just having fun, kind of a trickster. So I wasn't that familiar with her, but I feel like I've read stories where she's popped up as like a side character, or like had no impact on the plot. And I was like, oh, that's a weird design. So,
I mean, I assumed it was a character from DC's past that I didn't know. I just had that feeling to it. But I mean,
even when it's in the annual, when it's the old lady with the cat, the whole situation feels off, right? And then she tips Steph with the coin. You're just like, huh, weird. That's supposed to be somebody. And I was thinking at that time it was going to be like, Clarion because of the cat, or someone in the magic variety, that has a familiar of a cat. So, but was not expecting Lady Zodiac, but I don't think anyone else was either. So,
yeah, it's also a fun little bit at the end where Steph wakes up in her own body and she's like, wait, Dad? What? What's happening? what was going on when I wasn't here? And obviously that little tease at the end where he's like, no one knows where you are, but he's wrong because Cass does.
Cass knows.
So
also, man, why is Cluemaster giving me off like Unabomber vibes? Like that's never been his thing, right? Like yeah, Cluemaster has some issues, but he's mainly just like a petty crook kind of dude that
well,
left clues.
As he says to her when she's tied up. Technically, it's Cassie says this too.
Yeah.
But he technically died for 3 days. He was clinically dead for 3 days, and you see like the mark around his neck. So I wonder if that's messed him up a bit more. He's a bit more.
It could be, but yeah, driving out to a cabin in the middle of the woods. Just like it's all weird. So a nice take on Cluemaster makes him stand out a little bit, right? Like.
I mean, it was fun to have both Shiva and Cluemaster pop up at the same time because it was kind of a nice, dichotomy between the two characters. And you really get this feeling that Steph and Cass are the main characters, and Babs is this the elder, the support role character, which is neat. I mean, I suppose the real test is are you wanting to read the next issue? Are you in?
Yeah, I gotta see where this goes now. So I'm in until this arc's over at least, just to see where the story goes. So I got to see what's up with Cluemaster and because even in the solicits they're hinting about who hired Cluemaster. So there's part of something bigger going on. And also I do enjoy the dialogue back and forth between everybody, like the Bruce and Bab stuff in particular. I thought was nice here because it felt like nice and familiar between them.
And you didn't even get any Steph and Cass dialogue this issue.
No.
You got some in the last issue. You might refer to Daniel,
awesome.
but
so but the back and forth there, and then even Steph as Cass just talking back to Shiva was really well done too. So I'll probably hang on until this arc's over, and then we'll see where we are. But I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah. And the third person narration wasn't too egregious this issue.
No.
If anything, at the start, it was just the editor's note basically saying, hey, this started in the annual, so if you didn't read it, they've swapped bodies. You need to know that. That's a very important detail to know. Like I say, I wasn't super into the art. It felt like it was really flat compared to normal, and they keep the color scheme of the art from before, but it's not enough to make it feel the same, I don't think. So and for some reason Bruce looks like really, I was gonna say he looks really young, but I don't know if he even looks young. He looks kind of skinny, and he doesn't look like a guy that's built that fits criminals at night. He looks
definitely not.
it looks like a dude who's needing to eat a few extra pounds of meat or something.
Yeah, he needs to get his carbs up, or his calories up.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. Well, there you go. No, fun-ish. It was a fun issue though, rating wise. I thought the art was a step down. What are you rating Batgirls, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a solid 7.
Yeah, I'd agree with the 7. It would probably be a bit higher if the art was consistent with the last few issues.